Hello and welcome back to Crow Valley Porsche. I'm not going to apologise anymore for the length of time between the videos. Let's just accept that that's the way it is. Now this video has come about for an interesting reason. So it's going to be about the world's cheapest running 911, but there's also a non-running 911 involved. Unfortunately last night, when I was undertaking some spirited driving back from a small local car meet with a good friend, the oil pressure dropped completely on my daily drive 911. I'll pop in some B-roll footage. See, I'm getting all YouTube. I'll pop in some B-roll footage of that because it was it's not particularly exciting. It's not a big blow up. There's not smoke everywhere. But I'll pop in some B-roll footage of that in a moment after the introduction. So, in a bizarre twist, the silver convertible that we've done sort of 4 or 5 videos on is going to be lending its engine to my daily drive, which is the green car, which I might have featured in the back of some of the videos. My green early 906 911. It's going to be borrowing that engine because we've got a very expensive and quite exclusive track day at Goodwood in September, the day after the revival. Only 20 cars on track. It's all bought and paid for. I really don't want to miss it. We're taking my green 911, my friend's S2000 engine 2002, which I'll pop a picture up of as well, and my wife's BMW M2 for that track day. So I really want my car back together. So today is going to be a fairly short video of removing the engine from the silver car. A little bit of complexity because it's a slightly earlier car than mine, so it's a cable throttle and it's an automatic, so we're going to have to do the changeover of the wiring from cable throttle to the later fly-by-wire, and we're also going to have to do everything that's involved in doing the automatic to manual conversion. So we'll show you that as we go in the video, and hopefully in the next few days we'll also show you us putting that engine back into my daily driver green car. So thanks for watching this far. Thanks for carrying on watching the videos. I'm not sorry for the length of time that it's taken to make these. I hope they're worth it, and hope you enjoy the video. Thanks a lot. Okay, so as you saw in the previous snippet video that I posted, the engine is out of the silver car, out of the 911 that we dewrapped, etc, etc. And I actually wanted to get the engine out anyway out of that car because first of all I wanted to give it a good clean because it had been stuck in a hedge and it was covered in spiders, a bit of corrosion on some of the aluminium, a bit oily, but also I could see that there was signs of nesting, rodent infestation, and you can see that there is rodent infestation. And the other reason why I wanted to get it out is that I wasn't sure that the slight misfire that I had might be something to do with an issue with the vacuum system. And what I found when I took the engine out is that this vacuum line is broken, so snapped off. Perished and snapped off, so that was disconnected, and the other end of that vacuum line here was also disconnected. So the vacuum system that's quite important to this car for it to run correctly wasn't functioning properly. So that's a good find. We're going to get rid of all that rodent infestation. So what we need to do, because to be clear, I'm putting this engine in my daily driver that I'm doing a track day in September, there's a few things we need to do. It's an automatic engine and gearbox package, so we've got to remove the gearbox, remove the drive plate, Then we've got to obviously attach the flywheel and the manual gearbox from my car, so my engine's got to come out as well. The other differences are that the wiring loom is different at this end of it. So this is the body connection for the engine wiring loom, and that wiring loom is different on this car. Different because it's an automatic, and different because this car is a cable throttle, whereas my car's an e-gas. So this is cable driven on this car. Can't even turn it yet. So this is cable driven on this car, and on my car it's a fly-by-wire e-gas. So that needs to be changed as well. So we're going to strip the whole intake system off the top, and we're going to swap looms. I've actually got all that spare, a manual e-gas engine loom, intake system, throttle body, etc, etc. I've got on the shelf. So that is the next job. Probably going to put my decap pipes on this engine, and also my stainless steel silencers off from the other car. So we'll swap them over as well. Only difficulty removing this engine was this is engine mount and cradle. This engine mount had to be cut off because it was just spinning. It had failed. We've got a little snail friend there. Other than that, oh, and one air conditioning pipe that wouldn't come undone. The bolt spun and was bending a fitting, so we've chopped that off, and when we got the intake manifold off, we'll have better access to sort that connection in there out. Yeah, so other than that, we're on our way to getting the green car up and running again for the Goodwood track day, using the donor engine, or borrowing the engine out of the cab. Next thing I'll probably do is give you a walk around of the disassembled convertible with the engine removed. Okay, welcome back to the last segment of this video. It's been filmed over a week or 10 days, so we're leaping forward a week or so now. This is the bank holiday Monday. I kind of realised last night when I was out with friends, it's less than 4 weeks before my green 911 needs to be ready, tested, to drive to a track day at Goodwood on the 26th of September. So I thought I'd better use the bank holiday to pull my finger out a little bit. Now I know that the slant of these videos has changed a little bit, but they will continue to focus on the silver cab and what we're doing with it. So the engine and the gearbox that we've seen is out. There's a few bits and pieces this allows us to do, so we can do... I wanted the engine to come out anyway of this car because it's quite dirty, needed a good clean. Engine bay needs a good clean. There's a couple of slight areas of slight corrosion that I want to deal with. I want to deal with the sound deadening material that's starting to break up. They all do this with age, so I'm going to replace that with some foil-backed sound deadening material that I've used in the green car. And like I say, there's some areas of corrosion, slight just surface corrosion, that are much easier to get to with the engine out. So we're going to do some of that and replace some other bits and pieces, replace engine mounts, probably replace the coolant header tank. They don't age particularly well. So we'll be doing some bits on that car as well. But the concentration of this video is to move on to the drivetrain that we removed from the silver convertible to be used in my green car for probably, in all honesty, 6 months to a year. The green car's my daily, so I do need it. We will be rebuilding the engine from the green car, probably into a 3.7, maybe with some other bits and pieces, and we'll cover that in some separate videos. But diving in, so in the last video we had the drivetrain removed but still complete. We've now separated the engine and the gearbox. The engine is largely still in one piece. I'll show you the bits that we have removed from it and why in a minute. The Tiptronic gearbox is out. We locked the torque converter in place, a special tool, Allen key, and that is out. So we'll pop that on a shelf and pop it out the way for now, give it a clean. The drive plate has come off it because that's got to be replaced with a manual gearbox flywheel. That is the gearbox mounting mechanism. We're going to replace the starter motor. It's looking fairly manky. We're going to replace the AOS. That is the cable throttle wiring loom. We have a manual throttle wiring loom to go on the car, so the whole wiring loom has had to come off. Plugs and coil packs are off. A, because we're going to replace them, and B, because we needed to turn the engine over to undo the torque converter from the drive plate, and half of the intake is off. The reason we've only taken half the intake off is we don't need to, first of all, to get the wiring loom out. Ideally, we did need this side of the intake off to remove the wiring loom. This side could stay on, but also a number of the intake bolts on this side are really nasty. So I'm going to leave that alone because I can't really afford to make too much work for myself ahead of the track day on the 26th. I am going to replace the fuel pipes, the hard feed pipes to the injectors, the fuel rails, because they're not looking great. I don't want them to fail. And I've got a set of injectors that have just been cleaned. So I'm going to replace the injectors and the fuel rail. I've got a really nice fuel rail that I treated. I haven't got a vacuum bag for my Hoover, so I haven't been able to clean the top of the engine out yet. But now you can see the full extent of the sort of what I think is rodent action more than anything else, where they've been collecting seeds for the winter, God bless them. So we need to hoover all that out, other than the bits that I pointed out last time, which was some perished vacuum hoses. We're going to replace all the vacuum hoses, and it's a slightly different system, different setup, different vacuum hose setup with a manual engine. You haven't got this valve to turn the coolant valve in the Tiptronic gearbox on and off. So we're going to redo all the vacuum hosing because it's relatively cheap. Redo the AOS hosing here. This is something that splits quite often. AOS is off. We're going to replace the AOS, replace coil packs, replace plugs, replace the 2 lambda sensors. This year of engine only has 2 lambda sensors on it, of which are post catalytic converter. Then the silencer is going to come off, be switched for the stainless steel silencers that are on the engine in the green car. Catalytic converters are coming off. I've got bypass pipes to go on. I've already taken the poly V-belt off. We're going to replace that. We'll check all these idlers. I haven't actually tried them yet, but they seem okay. I'm going to remove the air conditioning pump because the green car runs without air conditioning, and this pipe needs to be addressed before we put it back in the cab anyway. So I'm going to remove that pump to sort that out. And that, I think, is just about it. There's probably some seals and some gaskets. I'm going to replace the cam sensor while the gearbox is off and the engine's out, because it's something that fails fairly regularly, and it's a lot easier to do when the engine's out the car. So I'm going to replace that. Probably about it. I might replace some other bits and bobs. I might replace the oil pressure sender. No reason to believe there's anything wrong with it, but so it's a lot easier to get to. Oh, I'm going to replace the oil cooler. There's something that can give problems and give out, especially if the car's been sat. So I'm going to replace that and the pipe that comes off it. So I've got a few bits to order, and I'm going to replace the oil filler. I've got one of those already in stock because they go brittle and hard and start leaking. So replace that while we're in here. Yeah, and you know, anything else that we find as we go. I might replace a couple of rubber hoses that are looking past their best. Possibly replace this engine vent valve off the AOS system. So there seems to be a little bit of blackness around there. But other than that, a bit of a clean up. The engine will be going back in as is. 74,000 miles, so hopefully that will see the green car 6 months to a year while we mess around rebuilding the engine, and yeah, so I can use that as my daily. So yeah, that's where we are at the moment with the project. Cheapest enough running, not anymore 911 in the world, which is now helping get me on the track and get my daily car back up and running. So I hope you're still enjoying the video series, even though it's taken a little bit of a left turn. We'll get another video up before the track day at Goodwood, and we'll maybe do some footage from Goodwood as well. But in the meantime, please like, share and subscribe if you like this kind of content, and I'll get another video up within the next couple of weeks. Thanks very much for watching.